through in the international capital flows. So there is not only a exchange of goods in the world economy, but also a flow of the funds or capital. The international flow of capital also has a function of the transmitting change in the world economy from one to another. With the increasing importance of international financial flows, the transmission function is increasingly enhanced. And in this section will further examine the transmission mechanism of the world economy on the basis of existing international exchange of goods, including the international financial flow. So the economic equilibrium after the infusion of international capital. The study objects to examine the economic equilibrium and imbalance involving the international commodity and capital flows. That is a description of the macroeconomic change after the infusion of import, export, and capital flows in the macroeconomic model. The international capital flows, there is a multinational inflows and outflows of the funds. Here we examine the multinational flows of funds, inflow of funds has two components. First is the foreign investment to investee countries by investing countries. That denotes by the capital I and capitalized, and the remittance of the proceeds of FDI by investing countries. That is denoted by the capital R and the capital F. There is also the outflows of funds, such as by the investing countries. If the investing countries have the foreign investment, it will cause the outflow of the funds from the investing countries. It's denoted by the lowercase of the I and F. And the remittance on the proceeds of FDI from investee countries. That means if the one countries have some as the receiver of the this will outflow this as the country who receive the capitals, the investment capitals will in return the proceeds from those investment to the investor country. So that will cause outflows of the fund from the country who receive the capital as the investee. So that is another way of the flow of capital. That's remittance. We still can remember this formula is total demand and total supply. After we incorporate those new variables, the uppercase of the IF and the RF, the lowercase the IF and the RF as a supply, and the capital uppercase as the demand. So that's the national income. The model becomes this way. We assume the government's expenditure is equal to the tax, or that is no deficit, the physical surplus or deficit. We will arrive that I minus I equal to the savings between the investment and savings is equal to the exports, the foreign exchange and the export and the imports, and plus the difference between the capital lowercase and uppercase, the foreign investments and the proceed from these investments. The difference between foreign investments inflows minus outflows, and the remittance inflows on the investment proceeds minus remittance outflows. And assume the where the in this equation a country's is kind of the demand and the consumption for domestic investment goods and labors, and the machinery, raw materials, labor force, and technical services, etc., which is the same as domestic investments, consumption, and government expenditure. So it should be included in the total demand. The remittance of the investment income in the foreign country increases the demand and the consumption of domestic goods and services. So it should be also included in total demand. Domestic investment in foreign countries reduces the demand for domestic goods and services. As a negative term of the EF, it is listed in the total supply. The remittance of foreign investment income in that country. RF is lowercase is especially a kind of the remuneration of the production factors. So it is included in the total supplies as the remuneration of the domestic production factors. And the equation for the S minus I, the savings difference between the saving and the investment, and assuming the S equal to I, and the formula becomes the export minus imports, and adjusting the capital flows balances is an effective way to equalize the income, and the trade surplus will cause the aggregate demand increase, and as a consequence, the inflation will cause inflation, and the capital outflows increase as adjustments. And total deficits, if the trade has a deficit trade, the aggregate demand is insufficient. And unemployment increase, and foreign capital infusion as adjustments. Under this condition, adjusting if the goods are traded out, it will cause an increase in aggregate it will cause inflation and can be adjusted by increasing the capital output. On the contrary, if trade there's a trade deficit, it will cause insufficient aggregate demand and or likely to lead to an increase in unemployment that will adjust it by introducing the foreign capital as adjustment. From another perspective, the transnational flow of national investment income is also the flow of the international capital, and the regulation can also promote the income balance. In real life, countries tend to restrict the remittance of the foreign investment income, and they tend to remit the income of their own investments in foreign countries through various means, and hope the income will be converted into the investment again, and thus promoting the economic growth. And how this mechanism works in the national capital flow, that is conduction. That is the flow through the change in the lending of the international funds. Firstly, unlike the transmissions through international commodity exchange channels, the transmissions through the international financial channels doesn't move from the one open sectors to the non-open sectors of a country and affect the economy as a whole. Or there are generally several ways in which economic imbalance are transmitted through the international flow of capital. First is through the lending of the international funds. A country borrowed from the board for domestic construction use. For some reasons, it can't repay if it can't repay the principal and interest on time. That will make the credit get into trouble. If the number of the default is very big, that may cause the creditors um, cause the creditors financial economic difficulties by the funding problem, such as inadequate investment. And more seriously, the international financial markets will cause the chaos in the international turmoil in the international financial markets that will affect several countries' economic growth as a result. That endangers the stability of the world economy. This was the case with the world debt crisis in which nearly one-third of the developing countries fell into the debt difficulties in the year following Mexico's insolvency in August 1982. When a country produced economic crisis, lack of funds and banks were unable to maintain the normal turnover of the funds, and it will stop to provide creditors to foreign countries. And even to withdraw from the international market and obtain the funds, which would cause a money supply shortage correspondingly in other countries.